Hi, this is David Carr. Welcome to my massive viewing audience. I'm a writer, editor, and web consultant, and in Toastmasters, a former club president, VP of Education, current social media director or chair for District 47, South Florida and the Bahamas. And I'm going to be talking about the WordPress for Toastmasters project. My goal is to convince folks to be a little bit more adventurous and ambitious about how they use their club website to use it as a more effective recruiting tool and marketing tool for your club. I believe that one of the ways you can do that is by using WordPress as the base technology. You know, one thing I've run into is I say WordPress and I expect people to get excited and assume that of course that's going to be better, but people who aren't necessarily techies don't necessarily know what WordPress is or what its advantages will be. So I'll cover that. But essentially, the difference is that I'm starting with something that is not just for Toastmasters clubs. It's a very widely used platform for publishing and marketing on the web. And so when you use that for your club, you have a chance to be more effective. And also if you have a VP of Public Relations who is doing marketing through the club website, they are potentially learning a professional skill that is transferable as opposed to learning a piece of software that's only used by Toastmasters clubs. So I will go through the details. I encourage you to ask questions along the way. I was showing a slide a moment ago. If you came in a minute late, there should see a panel on the right-hand side of the screen where you can click to ask a new question. If you don't see that, you can click on the little checkerboard icon at the top that will allow you to choose the different apps that are available. If you choose Q&A, that panel should be displayed. So the way this typically works is you type in your questions and I answer them out loud. I'm using Google Hangouts on Air, which is a free service for broadcasting video, potentially to very large audiences. It doesn't guarantee you a very large audience. I have an intimate audience today, but we're going to make it a good session for the folks who did show up. So I'm going to go back in a moment to sharing my screen so I can show you a few things about what I'm trying to accomplish. So I often like to start with Google because we want our club website, any website that you're trying to get out a message, you want it to be well ranked in Google. And it happens that if you search for awesome Toastmasters, my home club, Club Awesome, ranks #1 in Google for awesomeness. So that must be true. They are awesome. I'm very, very proud of my club. And I've tried to do my best to make the website an asset for them. Of course, most people aren't searching by the name of your club. So a more meaningful search would be Coral Springs Toastmasters. And we also come out #1 for that. And that took a little bit more work because one of the other clubs in town was smart enough to get coralspringspublicspeaking.com as its domain name, which I'm sure helps them in their ranking. And of course, we're all friends in Toastmasters, but I'd still like to rank on top if I can. I'd like them to come over to my club. So more important than search engine ranking probably, or what we see when we come to the site. And what you're going to see is evidence of activity, that people have been logging into the site, they've been signing up for roles. We have blog posts, and we include a lot of video. I'm a big believer in video. We're a public speaking organization, so video as a way of dramatizing what we learn in the club. This is actually from a series of testimonials, but we also video record our speeches on a regular basis. And we even had somebody who did her icebreaker who agreed to let the video be shared publicly. And on top of the base platform for publishing and blogging, we've also built in features for coming in and signing up for roles. Because I was logged in earlier, it didn't prompt me for a password. Normally it would. But when I'm logged in, I can easily click to sign up for a role. Or if I change my mind, to be removed from that role. And actually we'll see that we have a log of activities on the side. So one of the things I'm after here is to show people that there's stuff going on in this club, in this organization, that it's an active organization. A lot of people will set up their club website and they'll update it maybe once a year. It doesn't necessarily show anything about the personality of your club to as great an extent as I think is possible at any rate. And of course, if we sign up for a role, we can also choose which project it is and put in a title. And then if I view the agenda, I'll see that those details are filled in here. So I'm going to come back and back to this more later. One of the things I wanted to emphasize too, in addition to the blogging, the news-oriented element of the site, is the fact that any of these blog posts is easy to share out to social media just by clicking these promo posts down at the bottom. So I can cross-post this to Facebook, create a post to Twitter. Let's see, I guess I'm logged in here, so this is showing up even though it's member-only content. So these are people who had given speeches and have not necessarily agreed to make them public. Whereas some of the other things here, okay, so we have members-only content, and then we have these public elements. So again, the point was we can easily share this post out to Facebook and hopefully get some likes out in the social media world. So this is part of a broader social media strategy. Typically at our club meetings, we also have somebody taking photos. So she'll post photos of Toastmasters being energized, having fun, laughing. And that when she shares that out, I always make sure that I add a quick post saying, join us any Friday, including our club web address, so that people can click through and they can get all the details about where and when we meet and how to get involved. Let's see. I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment and go back to see if there are questions coming in. Not yet. All right, I will charge ahead. Now, I mentioned the popularity of WordPress as a publishing platform. So if you go to many magazine websites, professional publishing sites, corporate websites, there's WordPress underneath powering them. Now, obviously, these are professional sites. They have professional photography and design, things that we maybe can't compete with on a volunteer basis, but still we can take advantage of the same tools that they have available. TechCrunch runs on WordPress. Forbes, I happen to have a Forbes blog, and I don't know if I really explained that for years I have been writing about and researching web technologies and the use of the web by business. So I've spent a lot of time studying what makes an effective interactive experience, and I've tried to bring that back to my own projects. So what I call the WordPress for Toastmasters project started out just as a hack for Club Awesome. I created some customizations on top of the basic WordPress software and used them on our site. And it's only been in the last year or so that enough people from other clubs expressed interest that I decided to create a publicly available version of that. So on the WordPress for Toastmasters site, we do have an opportunity to sign up for a service that I'm offering for free and hoping to finance with advertising. So you can explore what the WordPress experience is like and how it's different, decide whether it's better for your club. There is also a way of taking the same software and running it on your own independent server. I'll go through some of those distinctions more along the way, but either way, I'm trying to offer a number of things for free that you can take advantage of. The software for Toastmasters is an extension of another project where I had created a general purpose scheduling plugin to WordPress. So customizations for handling events. And if you signed up for this on the website, one of the things I've been playing around with, really as a result of the fact that I wanted to organize a webinar and I had no budget to support it, is I came up with some customizations to RSVP Maker to register people for the webinar and then send them the information about how to get on the Google Hangouts on Air service as follow-up messages. So I'm also doing a seminar later this month on that approach to doing webinars with no budget or a low budget. So the software is freely available. I mentioned that your club could potentially take this software and implement it on its own independent website. So that would be more similar to what clubawesome.org has set up right now. There is also the potential that a district could take this software and host club websites on behalf of multiple clubs. So there are a number of interesting possibilities there. Let's see. Now, I do need to make a distinction between a couple of different ways that you get access to WordPress technology. There is a company behind this software. It's open source software, so there are many contributors to it, but the company that contributes the most actually operates a service where anybody can come in and create their own website. So this is more like a social media service for bloggers as opposed to operating your own site. And so a number of Toastmasters clubs, I've been talking with Plantation Toastmasters, they have a blog, and for many of the same reasons that I've been talking about, they find it easier to create new content and share it out on this blogging platform. They still have Free Toast Host as their main, more marketing site. So that's the address that is registered on the Toastmasters.org directory, Toastmasters International. So the Find a Club site would bring people here. Part of what I'm trying to do is give you one place you can go where you can accomplish multiple things. You can market your club effectively. You can also have an experience where people can log in and sign up for roles, and there are other ways that we can sort of encourage community, encourage activity by using the online medium as a tool for managing our club as well as promoting it. So to give you more of an understanding of what this is about, I go back to WordPress for Toastmasters, and I'll click on the Sign Up Now button. So this is the free service. If you don't have a big budget or any budget for marketing for your club, this is the option that you're going to follow. Even if you decide to get more ambitious later, I would say start here. So need to put in email, their name, so the site that I'm creating is going to be January 12th, Jan 12th, Jan 12.toastmost.org. So this is very similar to how the Free Toast Host service will allow you to set up plantation.toastmastersclub.org, or WordPress will allow you to set up. This is what's called a subdomain. So you don't have your own independent website, but you still have your own space within the website that you can manage mostly independently. What this means is, in my context, is the website is going to use, everybody has the same software configured essentially the same way. Within that, they have the opportunity to create their own content. If you have your own independent website, you have more freedom to choose different plugins you might add. Different customizations. Let's see. Excuse me. Just look up the club that I often use as an example. I haven't talked them into adopting this software, but I'm still working on them. So I can put in the address of my current website. And this is somewhat geared towards Free Toast Host. And what it'll try and do is import the homepage content as a starting point. I also need to make sure that my time zone is set correctly, because there are a number of timer functions related to reminders and other things that we need to make sure are correct. And one of the things I've had problems with lately is, because this is offered as a free website setup, I'll get people putting in, free Nike shoes.toastmost.org, various spam things. So to avoid these little robots that go around filling out forms, we have this basic challenge here, and hopefully you know that the Toastmasters slogan is "Where Leaders Are Made." So when I submit this, it should come back in a couple of seconds with the details on how I can get into the site. This will also be emailed to you so that you'll have a copy of all those details. You can go in after the fact and change this long gobbledygook password as well. No, I was previously logged in, so it took me into this without prompting me for a password. But normally on a new site, it's going to prompt you for your password. And the first thing it asked me to do is to set up my meeting schedule and roles. So not every club meets on the same schedule or organizes its meetings the same way. Some people have roles. We have a humorist in our club, which is a role that you sign up for in advance. Other clubs don't necessarily do that. And it allows you to specify your schedule. So you could be the first and third Monday. Actually, I'm going to make it every Monday. And the time that you meet. And you might want to put in when it's over so people know how much they're signing up for. And normally if you were editing a blog post, you would just be seeing a word processor interface here. But what we have instead are placeholders for the different roles. And we can move these around. We can also customize them. For example, this is set up for a club that has 3 speakers at every meeting. I could change that to 2. And then I'd want to change the evaluators to 2. And you can also make these customizations on the basis of an individual meeting. But right here, what I'm trying to do is set up a template. So this is how I typically organize my meetings, or how my club typically organizes its meetings. And there's a little sidebar space. This is for the agenda. So this is where you might put in some reminders. And there's a checkbox that says include my officers listing. We haven't set up the officers yet, so that's actually not going to work until we go back and set up officers. But the officers listing would automatically be generated underneath this. So I often use this space also to promote, say, an upcoming Leadership Institute training or upcoming district conference. So once we've created the template, it gives us the opportunity to specify the meetings coming up. And I might figure out that this is a holiday. And also, if we're projecting out several months, July 4th is a holiday. So we're not going to meet on those dates. I'll uncheck those. And other than that, I'm going to create them all as a batch. And then I can now go in and view any of these dates. Actually, it's not letting me sign up for roles because I'm not a member of this club. I'm the administrator. So unless they added me as a member, I don't have my buttons to sign up here. However, I could go in and make changes to this individual event. So as I said, show a little something here. We have an extra space we want to get rid of. If we wanted to change this meeting, maybe for some reason this one we want 3 speakers instead of 2, I could go in here and change that up. There's a couple of custom buttons here. One is to add a role. So I could add a role called and that would appear on the agenda. I can also add what's called an agenda note. So this is where we would put in some stage directions. And usually those are set to appear on the agenda also, on the agenda only, but I could also create one that only appears on the website on the sign up form, or something that appears on both. But usually, as I say, it's stage directions for the meeting. Now, once you get this set up and working fairly well, you can go in and add members. Now, there actually is a process where you can go out and grab your member list from Toastmasters.org, and you can batch import from the spreadsheet you download from their website. So that's an option there. Or if you're just testing, you might create a few accounts just for a couple of other officers. So you're not ready to promote this to your whole club yet. You create a few member accounts here. And once you've created member accounts, then you can go back through and decide who your officers are. So your officers will have additional privileges on the site to edit things that a regular member can't. And they'll also show up on that officers list. If I go back to Club Awesome, see that there's a whole members directory. And if I'm logged in, I get to see the whole directory, including everybody's phone numbers and such, which I probably shouldn't be showing on screen. And if you're not logged in, you see the information that the member decided to share publicly. So some people may actually want to use this as just another social profile, another way of putting themselves out there as a professional who's active in Toastmasters, who might be available to be hired for a local speaking gig. All right, once again, try and go back and look to see if there are questions coming in. No. Is everything that clear? I hope so. All right. Let's see. All right. Now, I guess one of the things to understand about navigating around one of these sites, let's see, content import feature didn't work this time, but there is a distinction between visiting the public site, which everybody sees, and from this page, we do have the opportunity to go up top. This black menu across the top appears when you're logged in. And if you have the right privileges on the site, you can come in and edit this content. So as I mentioned, it's basically a web-based word processor with a couple of extra controls that you don't see at least as prominently in Microsoft Word. Like the little chain link icon is what you would click to add a link. You would put in the web address, and that would then be a hot link that appears on the site. But you have your basic controls for bold and italic, bulleted lists, and so on. And generally, if you copy and paste something from Microsoft Word, it'll come out fairly well in this format. You might need to clean up the formatting a little bit. So after you log in, there's a few steps that it walks you through. It tries to encourage you to add your club members and then to visit the Toastmasters settings screen, which is where we would establish who our officers are. We would make sure that we have the time zone set correctly. And while you're just testing, this is not going to show up in Google or other search engines, or at least it shouldn't. It's going to discourage those search engines from indexing this site because it's not public. So you can test this for as long as it makes sense. Show it to other club officers, show it to members of your club who are interested in this sort of thing. And then if you decide that you actually want to make this an official public website, then you would change it from no to yes and start publicizing it. And at that point, you would want to make sure that this is the web address that's listed in Toastmasters.org. And you could also decide that this is going to be auxiliary to something else you use. I mean, I do find that a number of clubs have the free Toast host service, and they'll use that for their marketing page, and then they'll have another service called Easy Speak they may use to do some of the club management functions. Or I've talked with people who actually do their sign up using a Google Docs spreadsheet. So that's actually how they would allow people to sign up for roles online. Again, I'm trying to bring more things together in one space. Okay, most of the other things here I don't need to go over in this session, I don't think. But to maneuver between the public site and this backstage administrative area, I go between dashboard, which is the welcome page for an administrator or user of the site. Now, a regular member would not see all these menus. So a regular member would not be allowed to add blog posts unless you decide to give them that privilege. So you might have somebody who is a talented writer in your club and wants to help with public relations, even if he's not an officer, he or she. You could give them that power. You definitely probably don't want a lot of people to have the authority to edit your pages, particularly the home page. But you can grant those things. Generally, what people who are not officers or editors of the site would see is the ability to come in and edit their own profile. And they would also log in so that they can access those member sign-up functions on the front end of the site. So the profile screen is where you would come to change your password. They do encourage you to use a long, complicated password, but you can change that to something that is easier for you to remember. Just try and make it not so easy that it's going to be easy to guess and you're going to get your site hacked. And we do have the ability to add a member photo. See if I go back to Club Awesome. And look at my own profile. So this would be a more fleshed out one that has my phone number and some web links to my LinkedIn profile. And I've checked the box saying I'd like a bunch of this stuff to be public because I'm a self-promoter. And then I put in a description, and there's a little bit of HTML included here. Maybe in the next version that will be a friendly word processor interface, but as of right now, I was able to add some links because I know how to mess around with that stuff. I mentioned you can import your whole member list, and if you import an updated version of it, it will try and match against the person's Toastmasters ID, so that it updates the records rather than creating new records. Let's see. All right. Maribellis says, all clear, thank you. That's cool. Let's see. Trying to think of what else I should discuss. I mentioned the option of creating your own independent website. You know, one of the advantages of that would be that you could have a club address, a domain that you register for yourself, such as clubawesome.org, as opposed to being a subdomain on toastmasters.org. So it's not practical for me, for a number of reasons, to support independent web domains in this technical setup, but you can take the same software elsewhere. And I did work out a deal with this firm that is mentioned here. And actually, that's not going to take me to the right link. But they have a deal where they offer WordPress web hosting, and they have agreed to pre-configure the plugins and the theme that I created, which is called Lectern. So the theme is what gives you the look and feel. The version that is in the WordPress.org repository does not include the branded banners. However, you have the ability to customize your site, and you can choose any of these banners to feature up top. So you can do this on basically any self-hosted WordPress website. And so the Lectern theme is something that potentially districts might want to use any of the other software. Or if you want to set up a marketing website, but you don't plan to do meeting signups or any of the other things, you can take advantage of the branded experience. And I have gone through the process with Toastmasters International of talking with their brand management police. This is their official banner that's used up top, and there is a series of disclaimers that they require wherever the brand is published. So those are automatically included down at the bottom. All right. If there are no other questions, I'm going to wrap this up for today. I'll encourage you to come over to the WordPress for Toastmasters site, or to write me with your questions. You know, one of the things I'm trying to do to build some momentum for this, it would help if other people were saying good things about this option, if it wasn't just me promoting it. So if you explore it and you see things here that are worthwhile, see if you can't put a tweet out or a post on Facebook to say something positive about it. And if you see things that aren't the way you think they should be, don't work the way you think they should, give me feedback on those things so that I can improve them and make this as useful as possible for everyone. So thanks everybody who tuned in, and I'll send you a link afterwards with the replay information. Thank you.